Okay, so hi guys. Welcome welcome to the channel. Yeah. If you know me, then you know I have a lot of games. Like too many games. Like why do I have this? Or this? Or this? And that's just the games that I actually bought. Not even talking about all of the games I've gotten for free from like PlayStation and Epic Games and stuff. But we're not talking about all of those, because that's too many. And at this point, I'm scared. The point is, I have a lot of games, and I haven't even played most of them. And if you've read the title, you probably know that I'm going to talk about So I'm not just talking about the backlog, but more specifically my own. I know this is like a super run-through topic on YouTube, but I swear there's like kind of an actual point to this. And I'm not gonna be suggesting any ways to get through your own backlog. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to help you. I'm here to help myself with this. It's kind of upsetting. In like a very much a first world problem kind of way. It's just kind of upsetting how many games I have that I'm not playing and that it's distressing me to a degree. Like that's like a big part of what I want to talk about is just like it's disrupted how I play games. What games I play and also how much I enjoy them, which is not ideal at all, really. You know? To begin, let's talk about the actual content of my backlog. I've done a lot to cut down this. However, despite my best efforts to cut things that I got for free, as mentioned earlier, or just games that I've frankly ended up deciding I'm not really gonna play, because they were either just recommended to me or like they had good reviews on the internet, but they just didn't click. But even after cutting all of that, I still have over 50 games, which is a lot, especially when quite a few of them have dozens of hours of content. So, first of all, just real quick to clear things up, these are all of the games, as of recording, that are in my backlog. I would love to be able to ignore the many games I have that I'm not really desiring to play at this very moment, but there's another issue. How do I know if I should drop a game for good or not? This issue has only gotten worse as I've played more games, and some of which I didn't really enjoy at first, but went on to be hugely important to me. The biggest example is Yakuza Kiwami, a remake of the first game in the Like a Dragon series, formerly known as Yakuza, which I immediately bounced off of. Like, I mean, I got maybe an hour and a half into the game. Like, I didn't even get to the time skip where pretty much the entire game happens. Like, it was so immediately bounced off. This was, like, whatever. I didn't really think much of it. I was a bit bummed just because I had heard good things about the Yakuza series, but at this point, this was I think this was shortly before Zero came out, which is where it really got big popular in the West. But so, I had heard good things here and there, not super frequently. And then Zero came out, and a lot of people talked about it, and that was a whole thing. But it wasn't until a few years later, when the 8th installment in the series came out, that I finally gave it another shot. Because again, I just kept hearing great things, and especially from a bunch of like YouTubers and streamers that I like personally. After giving it a shot and getting through it, suddenly I had played all 8 games in the span of like maybe 6 months. You know? And now, in retrospect, I can say that Yakuza Kiwami is my least favorite of them, which didn't help, but also that the Like a Dragon franchise is probably my second or third favorite video game series ever, and is up there for one of my favorite like franchises in general. Like half of the games are like up there for like my favorite games of all time, just because of this one game being like meh, at least at the beginning, which yeah, I could say more about it, but that's not what we're doing here. So I'm just gonna keep it simplified and say, yeah, Yakuza Kiwami's like, whatever, the beginning's pretty bad, but I nearly missed out on one of my favorite series. Or to a lesser degree, an example is Persona 5 Strikers. P5S is a game that I actually enjoy a lot. I don't know what the general consensus is, but I enjoy it a lot, especially because I enjoy the Warriors Musou style games quite a bit, and I think it being a direct sequel to Persona 5 was really cool, if not unfortunately timed because of how Royal came out like a few months before it, but it didn't incorporate anything from Royal. But that's not the point here. We're not getting into specifics. But the issue is that, again, the beginning's kind of awful. Like, they just kind of throw all of your full party at you, and it's just kind of a lot. So the opening segment, particularly the first dungeon, and a bit of the second one, kind of just, like, sucks. Like, it took me months. I think it took me a year to actually, like, get through that bit. But then the rest of the game I plowed through in, like, maybe 2 weeks. Like, and I really enjoyed the rest of it. But it unfortunately leads me to having to say the worst sentence ever when trying to recommend something, which is, oh yeah, once you get past like the 10-hour mark, it starts to get really good. Which it does, I swear, but that's not great. And so one of the issues, becomes, how do I avoid this in the future? How do I know that I'm not putting down what will become my new favorite game, that I would have only realized it if I played for just like an hour more? I don't know. And that's part of the issue, because I also want to stop dumping time into things that I'm not really enjoying. In the past, I have had a really bad record of playing through games strictly for the sake of finishing them and removing them from my backlog. I'm not gonna name any names here, because some of them are kind of hot takes. But what's the point in that? Games, like all media, are meant to be enjoyed, or at the very least, thought-provoking, or make you feel something. And yet I was forcing myself through quite a lot of games where I was getting neither, or at best I was feeling upset that I was playing the game. That's another aspect of this whole scheme here, what we're gonna call it, is to be more mindful of the games and media in general that I'm spending my time on. Every once in a while, having something you turn your mind off to isn't bad, but when you're plowing through something and having a bad time doing it, that's really where the line is drawn. This thought process has been exacerbated for me when, in the past year or so, some of the best media I've ever consumed has come out, and I've gotten to rewatch some of my personal favorites with partners and friends. Stuff like Tears of the Kingdom, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Across the Spider-Verse, Sense8, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, The Owl House, Barry, Neon White, Andor, all of the John Wick movies, all of the Matrix movies, Pikmin 4. I'm currently in the middle of Final Fantasy 16 and I'm having strictly a great time with it. I want to play more things that make me feel like this, rather than things like Pokemon Sword and Shield, or the recent 3rd season of The Mandalorian, where the only reason I'm enjoying it is because I've bought into this whole thing too deeply already. I want to be enjoying these things, and I want to be more conscientious and critical of it. In an effort to capitalize on this, I've removed a few games that realistically I'm not going to get around to, like, ever, as mentioned earlier, but still, I'm not wanting to spend my limited time on things that I'm not really enjoying. But how do I know when it's time to drop something? Speaking of that limited time, that's also part of this. As a person, I am riddled with chronic anxiety and depression and frequently bombarded with existential crises. A part of this is the recurrent thought that I'm wasting my life and my precious time on playing video games, or watching TV, or movies, or the like. Although consciously, I know that entertainment and hobbies are a genuinely important part of life, but sometimes I can't shake the feeling, after sinking dozens of hours into a game, what was the point? What do I have to show for this? This especially gets worse for games that I've been anticipating for a while, where I've been waiting all this time, and now it's just done in like a week or two. That's part of what I want to use this channel for, is to kind of have some sort of physical mark, some kind of proof that playing this game or whatever had a tangible result beyond just entertaining me. Having something physical there. I also think getting through my backlog will allow me, just based on my varying mental things, I have a very hard time replaying games, and I think being able to clear out a lot of my backlog will free up my, like, mental blocks so I can replay more games, and then I can get even more out of the games that I did enjoy, and even more out of those games that I did wait so long for. Going forward, I don't know much about what I want to do with this channel, but I do know I want to do little reviews for every game I finish, and maybe some sort of coverage for games I've given up on, intentionally not finished. Like monthly or something like that, it kind of depends on how many games I drop. Maybe annually, we'll see. These videos won't generally be super long or incredibly in-depth. They will mostly function for me to get my thoughts, feelings, and ideas aired out to someone. Anyone who will listen. I'll try to include a little bit in terms of what others might want to know before purchasing. Some like little bits of like more traditional reviews. However, the main focus for now will be to act as pretty much a video diary for my after-game thoughts. I might try and do some larger, more in-depth videos and analyses and that type of stuff later, but for the immediate future, that is not what's happening right now. Why is this happening now? What sparked all of this? Well, yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is what incited all of this. A little game, I don't know if you've heard about it recently. All of these thoughts and feelings I've been having for years really all came to a head with Zelda. Tears of the Kingdom is a game I enjoyed immensely, but I was worried about it a lot pre-launch. The marketing worried me. I didn't know how much I would enjoy it beyond just being more of Breath of the Wild. But it is something where if I wasn't as big of a Zelda girl as I am, I probably wouldn't have picked it up, or at least not at launch. It was also a game I had been waiting on and anticipating for years, through some huge life milestone. The initial teaser for the sequel to The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild was released while I was a senior in high school, and Breath of the Wild was released while I was a sophomore in high school. Then the full game, Tears of the Kingdom, released a week before I graduated college. That's ridiculous. Not to say that games can't take a long time to make, and because they should. Developers and everything should take their time making the games. But in terms of as like a consumer, that amount of time and that like percentage of my life being spent essentially waiting for this game is insane. And yet, after all that, I was finished with it almost exactly a week later. What was the point of it all? This waiting. It was also something where I had a lot of thoughts on. I finished it and was immediately talking to my boyfriend for like hours, because we finished it the same morning. And I had like almost like a little crisis over how I was like measuring games, because I have this spreadsheet of all the media I've consumed. Maybe I'll share it sometime, but a whole part of it is that there's a little column that has like a review score, just to like simplify things, even though I generally don't like review scores. I think they're very inefficient and people kind of bias them very heavily. Like a five should be a fine review. Five should be an okay score. Not the point though. I was inspired to write out a review, which is what I'm going to upload next. From there, I want to upload some sort of little review for at least every game I play for the first time after Tears of the Kingdom. I might dip into some games I've played before or games I'm replaying, but I'm not going to make any promises on those, and that kind of depends on how much time it takes for me to make these videos and how much videos I'm making. So, we'll see. But I can promise Citizen Sleeper and Pikmin 4, which are the only two new games I've played since Tears of the Kingdom, or finished since Tears of the Kingdom, will be getting videos. And also, as mentioned earlier, I'm like halfway through Final Fantasy 16, so assuming I finish that, which I should, I've been enjoying it a lot so far, that will also get a video. But yeah, that's about all I have to say right now. So this video wasn't like super lighthearted. I generally like to carry myself and work in videos with kind of a little like lighter, more sarcastic-ish tone. Not like super annoying, I swear, but like kind of having a bit more fun with it and a bit more off the cuff, whereas this was pretty much entirely scripted, which I don't know how much you can tell, but you'll see next time. Next time I have like a bullet point list for Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm just gonna kind of go from that. So yeah, hopefully in the future it'll be a bit more freeform, a bit more casual, or at least I think. And I hope you enjoy that, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the videos. So yeah, I will see you then, and yeah, bye.